You're in the middle of a busy street. Cars are honking, people are rushing past you, and suddenly, your phone slips from your hand, falls to the ground, and the screen shatters. Your heart races. Your mind starts yelling, "Why did this happen to me? How am I going to fix this?" Or picture another moment. You're at work, and your boss suddenly raises their voice at you. Or maybe, at home, a family member says something hurtful, and within seconds, your mood is destroyed. Now, let me ask you, do you stay calm, or do you let emotions take control? Most of us, without even thinking, allow emotions anger, fear, sadness, stress to grab the steering wheel of our minds. We react. We shout. We cry. We panic. Later, we regret. But here's the truth. Life will always throw situations at us that test our emotions. We cannot control what the world does. But we can control how we respond. That is the secret of calmness. And today, I will take you on a journey not just with ideas, but with stories and life lessons that will show you, step by step, how to stay calm in every situation. Why calmness is power. Think about the most respected people in history. Leaders like Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, or even modern figures like Oprah Winfrey. What made them powerful? Was it loudness, aggression, or shouting? No. It was their ability to remain calm in the middle of storms. Calmness is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. When everyone else loses control, the calm person thinks clearly, acts wisely, and wins respect. Imagine yourself in a room where everyone is arguing. Voices are raised, fingers are pointing. Now imagine you stay quiet, breathe, and respond slowly, with clarity. Suddenly, the room notices you. Your calmness becomes influence. So let's begin with the first life lesson story, a simple but unforgettable one. Story 1. The Monk and the Angry Man. There was once a wise monk, known in his village for his peace and wisdom. One day, an angry man came to him and shouted insults. He called the monk names, tried to provoke him, and even spat near his feet. The monk simply stood still, breathing, looking at the man with kindness. After a while, the angry man stopped and asked, "Why don't you fight back? Why don't you respond?" The monk smiled and said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not take it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man thought and replied, "It stays with the giver." "Exactly," said the monk. "I refuse to accept your anger. So it stays with you." The lesson here is simple. We cannot control what people give us: anger, hatred, insults, but we can choose not to accept them. Practical lesson from Story 1. Whenever someone attacks you with words, pause and ask yourself, do I want to accept this gift of anger? If the answer is no, let it pass. Their anger remains theirs, not yours. Why do we lose calmness? Before we learn how to master calmness, we must understand why we lose it. Overthinking. We replay negative events in our minds like broken records. Ego. We feel attacked when someone disagrees with us. Fear of loss. Fear of losing respect, money, love, or control makes us panic. Habit. We are trained to react quickly since childhood instead of responding thoughtfully. But here's the good news. Calmness is a skill. Just like learning English, cooking, or playing music, it can be trained, step by step. Story 2. The Waiter's Smile. A young man once went to a restaurant. The waiter accidentally spilled some water on the table. The young man shouted at him, embarrassed him, and demanded another waiter. Another customer nearby watched quietly. Later, he called the waiter and asked, "Why didn't you get angry when he insulted you?" The waiter smiled and said, "Sir, if I carried every insult home, my life would be full of misery. I leave the insults at the table and carry home only the tips." That simple attitude made the waiter not just calm, but free. Practical lesson from Story 2. When you carry every small insult or mistake with you, your emotional backpack gets heavier. Calm people travel light. They don't pick up every stone thrown at them. So, ask yourself, am I filling my backpack with unnecessary anger and stress? If yes, it's time to empty it. Science of calmness. Psychologists explain that when we face stress, our brain activates the amygdala, the survival center that pushes us into fight or flight. That's why we react so quickly. But calmness comes from activating the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain. The bridge between the two is the pause. Whenever you pause even for 5 seconds, you give your brain a chance to shift from emotion to logic. Technique 1. The power of the pause. Next time someone shouts at you, don't respond immediately. Count to 5 in your mind. Breathe deeply. Then answer. That tiny pause could save a friendship, a marriage, or even a job. Story 3. The Two Sisters. Two sisters lived together. One day, they had an argument about something small, a missing scarf. Words turned sharp, voices rose. Within minutes, the argument escalated into shouting and crying. For weeks, they didn't talk to each other. The house was silent and cold. Later, one of them realized, if I had just paused for 10 seconds, I would have noticed that the scarf was in the laundry basket. Our peace was destroyed over nothing. How many times in your own life has this happened? A small misunderstanding grows big, only because no one paused. Practical lesson from Story 3. The pause is not weakness. It is power. It gives you time to check the facts before reacting emotionally. Technique 2. Breathing anchor. When the ocean is stormy, ships drop an anchor to stay stable. In life, breathing is your anchor. Here's how. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Do this 3 times when you feel anger rising. Your body calms, your heart slows, and your mind clears. Story 4. The Office Storm. At an office meeting, a boss criticized an employee harshly in front of everyone. The employee's face turned red, his fists clenched. But instead of replying, he silently breathed, counted to 5, and noted the points. Later, he calmly spoke with the boss in private, explained his side, and even suggested solutions. The boss not only respected him, but also promoted him months later. Had he reacted in anger, the story would have ended very differently. Practical lesson from Story 4. The calmest voice in the room is the one that gets remembered. Closing for Part 1. So far, we've learned. Calmness is strength, not weakness. You can choose not to accept anger. Don't carry emotional weight unnecessarily. The pause and breathing anchor are your two greatest tools. In the next part, we will go deeper. We'll explore how to deal with calmness in relationships, how to stay calm during failure and loss, and more inspiring life stories that will show you the path of peace. In the first part of this journey, we discovered that calmness is not weakness but strength. We learned that we do not have to accept the gift of anger, that pausing and breathing are powerful tools, and that carrying emotional weight only harms us. But calmness is tested most deeply not in random moments, but in our closest relationships and in our hardest failures. When the people we love hurt us, or when life knocks us down, calmness becomes both the hardest and most necessary choice. So let's dive into the heart of calmness, how to stay centered when your emotions are pushed to the edge. Story 5. The Broken Cup. A Zen master once had a favorite teacup. One day, a student accidentally dropped it. The cup shattered into pieces. The student gasped, expecting the master to be furious. Instead, the master smiled and said, "Of course the cup was already broken. One day, it would fall, or I would drop it, or it would wear out. Why be angry about what was destined to happen?" The master had already accepted the reality that everything in life is temporary. Lesson from the broken cup. When we lose something, an object, an opportunity, or even a relationship, we often panic because we thought it was permanent. Calmness grows when we accept that nothing lasts forever. This acceptance transforms anger into peace. Calmness in relationships. Our deepest emotional storms usually come from the people closest to us: family, friends, partners. Why? Because we care about them. But here's a truth: the calmer person in a relationship always leads the direction of the conversation. If both lose calmness, arguments explode. If one person stays calm, the storm passes faster. Story 6. The Couple's Fight. A husband and wife argued late at night. The wife shouted, the husband shouted louder. Finally, she broke into tears and left the room. The next morning, the husband's friend asked him, "Why do you fight with her like that?" The husband said, "Because she provokes me." The friend replied, "But if she throws fire at you, why do you throw gasoline back? Why not water?" That simple question changed the husband's thinking forever. He realized, calmness is the water that puts out the fire of arguments. Practical technique: lower the voice, raise the respect. In any heated argument, try this experiment. Instead of raising your voice, lower it. Speak slower. Speak softer. You will notice the other person slowly matching your energy. Calmness is contagious. Story 7. The Angry Child. A little boy shouted at his mother, angry because she didn't allow him to play outside. Instead of shouting back, the mother knelt down, looked into his eyes, and whispered gently, "I know you are angry. I feel that too sometimes." The boy's anger melted into tears. Within minutes, he hugged her. The mother didn't argue. She connected. Lesson from the angry child. Sometimes calmness is not silence, but empathy. Recognizing the emotion behind the anger can dissolve it faster than fighting it. Calmness during failure. Now let's step into another battlefield of calmness: failure. We all face moments where dreams collapse, projects fail, or exams are lost. In those moments, Panic, shame, and fear rise quickly. But here's the truth. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who remain calm when they do. Story 8. Thomas Edison's Factory. One night, a fire burned down Thomas Edison's factory. Everything he had worked for was gone. His son rushed to him, worried he would collapse. But Edison calmly said, "Go bring your mother and her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." The next morning, Edison began rebuilding from zero. He didn't waste energy crying over ashes. Within months, he invented even more. Lesson from Edison. Failure is not the end. Panic only delays recovery. Calmness accelerates it. Practical technique: step outside the frame. When failure hits, imagine your life as a movie. Step outside yourself and look at the bigger picture. Ask, will this matter in 5 years? What lesson can I carry from this? How can I turn this into a story of strength? This mental shift transforms panic into perspective. Story 9. The Student Who Failed. A student failed an important exam. His friends mocked him. He cried for days. Finally, his teacher sat him down and said, "Look at a seed. When it is put in the dark soil, it feels buried. But actually, it is being planted. Your failure is soil. Grow from it." That student eventually passed with flying colors, but more importantly, he developed resilience that shaped his entire life. Calmness in daily stress. Sometimes it's not big failures, but small daily frustrations that rob our peace. Traffic jams, long lines, late buses. Here's a mindset shift. Instead of fighting reality, use the moment. In traffic, practice breathing. In a line, listen to an audiobook. Waiting, reflect on gratitude. Calm people don't waste waiting time. They transform it. Story 10. The Airport Delay. A traveler's flight was delayed by 6 hours. Passengers complained, shouted, demanded answers. But one man sat quietly, reading a book. When asked why he wasn't angry, he said, "The plane will leave when it leaves. My anger won't make it fly faster. But this book will make me wiser." That man left the airport richer in knowledge, while others left poorer in energy. Closing for part 2. In this second part, we've discovered calmness in relationships comes from empathy, lowering the voice, and choosing water over fire. Failure is not destruction but soil for growth if you remain calm. Daily frustrations can be transformed into opportunities. In the next part, we will explore how to stay calm in financial struggles, how leaders use calmness to inspire trust, and more powerful stories that prove calmness is the ultimate success skill. We've already seen how calmness helps in relationships, in failure, and in everyday stress. But now we arrive at situations that shake almost everyone's peace: money, leadership, and responsibility. These are not small challenges. They touch survival, respect, and identity. Yet the people who learn calmness here rise far above the rest. Let's dive in. Story 11. The Empty Wallet. A young man once walked into his home after losing his job. He had no money left, no savings, and rent was due. His heart raced, his mind screamed, "What will I do?" Instead of panicking, he sat down, took a deep breath, and wrote 3 lists. What money I have left. What resources I can use. What skills I can sell. By the next day, he had borrowed some groceries from a neighbor, taken a part-time delivery job, and started tutoring students for extra income. Within weeks, he was back on his feet. He later said, "Calmness didn't give me money. Calmness gave me clarity." Lesson from the empty wallet. When money disappears, the biggest danger is not poverty, it's panic. Panic kills creativity. Calmness unlocks solutions. Practical technique, the calm audit. If you face financial stress, pause and write. Assets. What do I have right now? Cash, possessions, skills, contacts. Liabilities. What do I owe? Actions. What 3 steps can I take today? This transforms fear into a plan. Story 12. The Farmer and the Storm. A farmer once learned a storm was coming. His neighbor panicked, running everywhere, shouting about losing the crops. The calm farmer simply secured his animals, covered his equipment, and waited. After the storm, the panicked neighbor had wasted so much energy worrying that he had no strength left to repair. The calm farmer rebuilt quickly and even helped others. Lesson from the farmer. Financial storms will come, recessions, layoffs, unexpected bills. The calm farmer reminds us, prepare wisely, then rest. Worrying never stops the storm. Calmness in leadership. Now let's shift from money to leadership. Leaders, whether of families, teams, or nations, face pressure that could break anyone's calm. But here's a truth: people do not follow the loudest leader. They follow the calmest one. Story 13. The Captain in the Storm. A ship once sailed into a violent storm. Waves smashed, winds howled, sailors panicked. Some shouted, some froze. The captain, however, stood tall, his voice steady. "Do as I say, and we will survive." Because his calm voice carried authority, the crew obeyed. The ship survived. Later, sailors said, "It wasn't the captain's strength that saved us. It was his calmness." Lesson from the captain. Leadership is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself in front of others. Calmness builds trust. Practical technique. Breathe before you command. Whenever you face a stressful leadership situation, a team conflict, a family emergency, a business crisis, pause for one full breath before speaking. That one breath can turn panic into power. Story 14. The Teacher and the Fire Alarm. During a fire alarm in school, students screamed and pushed. But one teacher calmly clapped her hands and said, "Eyes on me. Walk together." Because of her calmness, the students left safely. Another teacher who panicked made her class more chaotic. Lesson from the teacher. In crisis, people mirror the leader's energy. Your calmness is not just for you, it protects others. Calmness in responsibility. Let's move to the third theme, responsibility. When we are responsible for others, children, parents, employees, or communities, the weight can feel crushing. But here's the paradox: you cannot carry responsibility with panic. Only calmness makes the load bearable. Story 15. The Bridge Engineer. An engineer once designed a bridge. On opening day, as people crossed, the bridge began to shake slightly. The crowd panicked, running in fear. The engineer calmly walked onto the bridge, stood in the center, and shouted, "It is safe. Stay calm." Seeing him standing there, people stopped panicking. Soon the bridge stabilized. His calmness carried more weight than his calculations. Lesson from the bridge. Responsibility does not mean never feeling fear. It means showing calmness so others can find courage. Practical technique: the calm face. Even when you feel stressed, practice keeping your face soft, your shoulders relaxed, your voice steady. People around you will take strength from your calm appearance, and that energy will flow back into you. Story 16. The mother in the hospital. A child was rushed into emergency surgery. The mother's heart broke, tears streamed, but she stayed calm for her child. She whispered, "You are safe. Be strong." Her calmness gave her child courage to face the surgery. Later, the doctor said, "Your child's calmness helped us. Panic would have made everything harder." Lesson from the mother. Sometimes staying calm is not about you. It's about being the rock someone else can hold. Calmness builds respect. Whether in money, leadership, or responsibility, calmness creates respect. People trust the calm person. They rely on them. They admire them. This is why calm people rise in families, in companies, in communities. In this third part, we have learned. In money struggles, calmness gives clarity to act. In leadership, calmness inspires trust more than fear ever could. In responsibility, calmness protects not only us but everyone we serve. In the next part, we will explore calmness in health, crisis, and the art of inner peace, including powerful life stories and techniques to keep calm even when everything seems lost. So far, we've walked through calmness in relationships, failures, finances, leadership, and responsibility. But now we arrive at the most intimate and personal battlefield: our health, our crises, and our own inner voice. When the body is weak or danger strikes suddenly, calmness feels almost impossible. And yet, history and experience prove, those who stay calm heal faster, survive longer, and inspire deeper. Let's explore why. Story 17. The doctor's diagnosis. A man went to the hospital for routine tests. The doctor sat him down and said, "I'm sorry, but you have a serious illness." For a moment, the man felt his world collapse. Panic rushed in. But then he breathed deeply and said, "All right. Tell me what I must do." Years later, he explained, "I couldn't control the disease in that moment. But I could control my calmness. That gave me strength to fight." Lesson from the doctor's diagnosis. Health challenges can take away comfort, but panic only steals more energy. Calmness is the medicine that prepares the body and mind for healing. Practical technique: calm breathing for healing. Whenever fear about health arises, use this. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds. Hold gently for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Repeat 5 times. This simple rhythm signals to the body, you are safe. Story 18. The mountain climber. A mountain climber slipped and dangled from a rope high above the ground. His teammates panicked, shouting in fear. But the climber calmly spoke. "Secure the rope. Step by step. Don't rush." Because he stayed calm, the team pulled him up safely. Later, one rescuer said, "If he had panicked, we would have lost him." His calmness saved his life. Lesson from the mountain climber. In crises, adrenaline pushes us to panic. But panic wastes time. Calmness buys survival. Practical technique: name 3 things. In any sudden crisis, accident, fire, earthquake, pause and name. One thing you see. One thing you hear. One thing you can touch. This grounds your mind, stopping panic from taking over. Story 19. The nurse in the war zone. In a war zone hospital, bombs shook the ground. Soldiers screamed, blood flowed. Yet one nurse walked calmly from bed to bed, giving comfort, applying bandages, whispering, "Stay with me." Later, survivors said, "We lived because her calmness gave us hope." Lesson from the nurse. Sometimes calmness is not about quietness but about holding steady in chaos. When others are drowning in fear, calmness becomes a lifeboat. Calmness and inner peace. But here's the deepest challenge. How do you stay calm when no one is around, when your own thoughts attack you? This is the art of inner calmness. Story 20. The monk and the water. A student asked his monk teacher, "Why do I feel so restless?" The monk gave him a bowl of water and stirred it violently. "Look. Can you see your reflection?" The student said, "No, the water is too disturbed." The monk then left the bowl to settle. After a while, the water became still. The monk asked again, "Now can you see?" "Yes," said the student. The monk replied, "That is your mind. Be still, and you will see clearly." Lesson from the monk. Calmness is not found outside. It is created inside, when we let the water of our mind settle. Practical technique: 1 minute of stillness. Every day, stop for just 1 minute. No phone, no noise. Simply sit. Let thoughts come and go. 1 minute grows into 5, 5 into 10. Slowly, you build the muscle of inner calm. Story 21. The prisoner of war. A soldier captured in war spent years in a small cell. Others screamed, cried, or gave up. But he stayed calm by repeating to himself, "They can cage my body, but not my mind." When he was finally freed, people asked how he survived. He said, "Calmness was my freedom inside the prison." Lesson from the prisoner. Even when the world outside is chaos, your calmness inside can remain untouched. Calmness and forgiveness. Inner calm also grows through forgiveness. Holding grudges keeps storms alive inside you. Forgiveness releases them. Story 22. The old man and the enemy. An old man met the person who had cheated him years ago. Instead of anger, he smiled and said, "I forgave you long ago. My heart deserved peace more than it deserved revenge." That peace gave him health and joy in his final years. Lesson from the old man. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about freeing yourself to remain calm. Calmness as daily practice. Here's the truth. Calmness is not a one-time achievement. It is like a muscle. You build it every day with small acts of patience, reflection, and self-control. Story 23. The gardener. A gardener watered his plants daily. Some grew fast, some grew slow. He didn't rush them. He simply kept watering. When asked how he was so calm, he said, "I practice patience with my plants. That patience becomes my calmness." Lesson from the gardener. Daily patience in small things builds strength for big storms. In this fourth part, we have seen calmness in health gives strength to heal. Calmness in crises saves lives. Calmness inside ourselves is the deepest freedom. In the final part, Part 5, we will bring all these lessons together, exploring how calmness shapes a meaningful life, with a complete step-by-step guide you can carry forever. We've walked through calmness in relationships, failure, money, leadership, responsibility, health, crisis, and inner peace. Now, it's time to tie everything together into one powerful truth. Calmness is not a reaction. It is a lifestyle. And if we learn to live this way, we unlock not just survival in hard times, but true mastery of life. Calmness as a way of life. Story 24. The Two Warriors. Two warriors were sent to fight in battle. One was fiery, aggressive, always restless. The other was calm, steady, focused. When the enemy attacked, the fiery warrior rushed without thinking and was defeated quickly. The calm warrior waited, studied, then struck at the right moment. He returned victorious. Lesson: life is not about speed or noise. It's about steady control. Calmness wins battles not by avoiding them, but by facing them wisely. The Calmness Framework, 5 steps. Let's create a practical 5-step framework you can use in any stressful situation. Pause. Take one deep breath before reacting. Observe. Notice what is truly happening, not just what you fear. Clarify. Ask yourself, what matters most right now? Act. Take one small, clear step forward. Reflect. After it passes, review what worked and what didn't. This is the calmness cycle. The more you use it, the faster calmness becomes automatic. Calmness in society. Story 25. The Peaceful Leader. History tells of leaders who ruled with violence and others who ruled with calmness. One such leader, when faced with a rebellion, did not send soldiers immediately. Instead, he walked into the crowd unarmed and spoke with patience. His calmness disarmed anger and turned enemies into allies. Lesson: calmness is contagious. A calm person can change not only a room but an entire nation. Practical application. Next time you are in a heated group, whether at work, in family, or community, choose to be the calmest voice. You will see how others begin to settle, following your energy. Calmness in daily habits. Calmness grows through small daily practices. Wake up slowly, without rushing to your phone. Eat mindfully, savoring each bite. Walk instead of run, noticing the world around you. Speak a little slower, giving words weight. These are not minor habits. They are daily training sessions for your calmness muscle. Story 26. The Old Carpenter. An old carpenter worked quietly every day, never rushing, never panicking. When asked his secret, he said, "Every nail I strike is a lesson in patience. Every board I cut is a lesson in calmness. Build your calmness one piece at a time, and soon you will build a peaceful life." Lesson: calmness is built in daily actions, not just in emergencies. The power of calmness in relationships. When you stay calm, you listen better. You forgive faster. You argue less. Your presence itself becomes comforting. This is why calm people are often deeply loved, not because they avoid problems, but because they bring peace into them. Story 27. The Couple and the Storm. A married couple once argued loudly while a storm raged outside. Suddenly, the husband stopped, took a deep breath, and said softly, "Let's calm down. The storm is outside, let's not bring it inside." They sat in silence, listening to the rain. Later, they laughed about how the storm taught them peace. Lesson: Calmness turns conflict into connection. Calmness and spiritual growth. Nearly every spiritual tradition teaches calmness through prayer, meditation, silence, or reflection. Why? Because calmness is the door to wisdom. Story 28. The Desert Sage. A young man traveled to meet a sage in the desert. He asked, "How do I find truth?" The sage poured water into a cup until it overflowed. The young man said, "Stop. The cup is too full." The sage smiled, "So is your mind. Empty it, be calm, and the truth will appear." Lesson. Calmness creates space for wisdom to enter. The legacy of calmness. What do people remember about us when we are gone? Not our money, not our possessions. Often, they remember how we made them feel. A calm person is remembered as a safe harbor, a steady presence, a peaceful soul. Story 29. The Grandfather's Rocking Chair. A family often gathered around their grandfather who sat in a rocking chair. He didn't speak much, but whenever people sat by him, they felt peace. Years later, his grandchildren said, "We remember his calmness more than his words." Lesson. Your calmness becomes your legacy. Final framework. Living calm every day. To bring all parts together, here is a daily calmness guide you can practice. Morning calm. Begin your day with one deep breath and one thought of gratitude. Midday calm. When stress hits, use the pause, observe, clarify, act, reflect cycle. Evening calm. Before bed, forgive yourself and others for the day's mistakes. Weekly calm. Take 1 hour each week in silence, walking, sitting, or journaling. Lifetime calm. Remember, storms will always come. Calmness is your anchor. Story 30. The River of Life. At the end of our journey, imagine life as a river. Some fight against the current, thrashing in panic. Others learn to float calmly, adjusting with the flow. The river carries both, but only the calm ones enjoy the ride. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is power. It is the difference between chaos and clarity, between fear and wisdom, between surviving and truly living. So the next time life shakes you, remember, you have the choice to stay calm. And that choice can change everything.